All right, it's August 28th, 2023. Monday, we're about to start the week of trading after Jackson Hole. And I just want to kind of paint a picture of my mindset and where I believe we are in the overall market. One of the things I've learned from trading the stock market is that you have a lot of people that come out and scream the sky is falling a lot of the time. And the reason they do that is because it's like clickbait. Um, it gets more views, it gets more traction than somebody saying, yeah, if you buy now in 6 months, you'll be up. Right? That's not very exciting. Um, and so one of the things that we have to do as traders is ignore the noise. Um, these people said it over here, over here. Literally people were saying we're gonna get another 20 to 25% down right here. When it rallied up here, I read you guys an article last week that said, hey, don't take too much into this rally. It doesn't mean much. We're going back lower. Right? This is just always what happens. Now, occasionally these bears are right. And we do get a drawdown, right? Occasionally. Um, the majority of the time, most bears like this do not make money. The ones that do, that we know about, are famous because they hit a one-time deal that made them a lot of money. It's not a strategy for over time. So for me, because I focus on investments now, sure, I'll do scalping here and there to teach, but I focus on just investing my money. I believe that we are in a generational cycle that lasts roughly 16 to 18 years. Okay. And this is where we are, right? So I believe we've got, another 6 years or so, maybe to 2030. But what I do during these periods of pullbacks, is I try to dig underneath the surface and find companies that I believe are valuable. I still trade like, scalping, swing trading, and stuff like that. But my overall goal is to find companies that are valuable. Does that make sense? Any questions on this so far? Um, so, you guys know Nate's verbiage in which option should I buy? He says, when in doubt, go further out. For me, it's when in doubt, zoom out. Just look at the bigger picture. Um, so anyway, if you guys want, I can share the link to this Microsoft Word document. You can kind of read better details of what's going on. Um, this is from RBC Capital. This is just one of their slides. What's up, Nate? Hey, John. This is D-Man on mic, actually. Nate's not on mic yet. So, this is what I'm doing. And here's some just historical data that shows, after closing below the 50-day moving average for the first time in 4 months or more, right? That's the key. The S&P has gained 14% on an average of 12 months later since 1990. Since 2003, there are 7 instances of the SPX being down 2 weeks prior to Jackson Hole. 6 of the 7 instances, equities rose in the week. So, excuse me, statistically, we are in a spot that says historically, well, we're actually going to finish positive this week. Now, does historical performance determine this week's performance? No. But we do know that this is something to put into my conviction bowl to help me. Now, the other thing is, here's the S&P after it hits a 10-year treasury yield high at a a 10-year high, first time in 200 days. Here's the historical data for that, right? You can go through there and you can look and you can see, you know, 1 week later, 2 weeks later, 1 month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, and you can see what equities did. Um, so for me, again, as I'm looking 6 months out, it's 100%. Like 2 months out is 86%. Um, what happens with most people in the market, guys, is they'll invest everything at once. They'll say, I've got $100,000 to invest. Let me put it in one stock at, I don't know, let's buy, I like this company, so let's buy this company. And then that company gets cut in half. And they lose 50% of their investment. And they get out at the absolute worst time. And then they remember that trauma, and that puts them in a state of just holding cash and trying to perfectly time the market. But what I want to show you is even bad timing trumps just sitting there. So like, even if you have bad timing, right, you still do better than just sitting in cash. This is dollar cost averaging. Do you guys know what dollar cost averaging is? I don't know if you know what that is, but you can look it up on Investopedia. But, this is dollar cost averaging. This is even investing immediately. And this is perfect timing. So if you could perfectly time it, you're not going to do a whole lot better. I mean, you do, but, it's just the thing to remember is invest slowly over time in companies that are valuable. So when it comes to a closer outlook, last week the McClellan oscillators all reached oversold. Okay, so if we're in a new uptrend, if this is true, then this is a great time to buy, to start investing. If you believe the bear market is back, then of course it's not a good time to buy. But in the last 4 years, only one time did the S&P 500 not rally 4% within the next 30 days after reaching oversold. Okay. Now, the thing to remember about this is it doesn't mean it's not without further drawdowns. So using a broader approach, 72% of the time, the market's bottomed within 15 days and 50% within 5. Okay. Now you can see this bottom within 0 to 1 days, only 36% of the time. Bottom within 5 days, 51% of the time. But if you bottom within 15 days, it's 72% of the time. Okay. So that means I'm thinking within the next 15 days, we're going to start bottoming out. Right? 72% chance of that happening. This is the, this chart is the put to call ratio, and you can see when it spikes above 1, all 3-month forward returns from the single date were positive for the S&P. Again, the signals were not without deeper drawdowns, and the COVID drawdowns were a lot, right? But again, all of them were positive. So for me, I'm going to continue to buy and invest because I believe we're in a new uptrend. I do not believe everything is overvalued. I do believe that there are many overvalued companies, but just an example of NVIDIA here. NVIDIA is actually a better value where we are now than before earnings because the forward PE, right? You can see up here, and then all of a sudden, boom. Earnings per share estimate, it goes up. And now we're down here and this is up here instead of it being flipped, right? And we were talking about the data center last week, I believe it was. This is just insane. I don't even think this graph fits on the whole screen for you guys. Let's see. Yeah. So this is just their data center revenue per quarter. So do you remember I was like, NVIDIA is a graphics company and it used to make up like 86% of their revenue. But look at this. I mean, it's just crazy. just straight through the roof. Um, so anyway, I still believe Nvidia uh, is a company that I would be willing to invest in long term. Where we are now, um, but I'm being patient, and I'm what I'm doing with Nvidia is I am scalping uh, within weeks, not necessarily intraday. Sometimes I'll do it intraday, but I bought it at 405. I sold some at 415. I mean at 515 after the earnings. Um, I'm still holding that core position, right? And so this is just how I start to invest in companies that are not pulled back. Um, and I believe there's value all throughout the market, and you just got to go look for them. If you look at the S&P 600 small caps trailing PE, so we're pretty low, right? So here's the median, right? We're pretty low. So in my opinion, once people start putting the risk back on, I think small caps will have a bounce. I think it's a good investment where we are right now. Um, Now we may experience the seasonal weakness and volatility until late October. Okay, so again, I posted this chart for you guys literally at the end of July when I said, look, my push is over, my July push is over, and I think we're going to start coming into August weakness, right? So you can see this is August. Now just look at the end of October, right? So this is where we historically start to get a push. Okay. So what I'm doing right now is literally setting up for that push. Um, sure, I may do a trade that I'm going to try to make money this week, this day, within a couple weeks, but the majority of my vision is focused on the run at the end of the year. Um, okay, and then some other reads here. These are just some other reads if you want to. You guys said you like having some stuff that I read. These are some stuff that I read that I'll put on here. Okay. Please share the link. Yeah, I'll do that. I think I can share a link in here. Yeah, of course, Hilltop. Hilltop, what this does as well is the reason I do this, like I would do this even if I wasn't giving it to you guys. This is so that I stay focused on what I need to do. So I think you should be doing this as well with what you need to be focused on and what you need to do, right? Once you figure out what kind of trader you are and your edge and blah blah blah. Like this is something that I do no matter what. Um, okay, let's see if it shares. Will you tell me if that works? Let me know if that link works. No, I was just kind of giving a presentation of where I think we are in the markets overall. Um, this is what I do weekly to help me stay focused on what I need to be focused on. I just create a weekly plan, right, to let me know what I need to be doing. So it works. Okay, thanks, John. Okay, does anybody have any questions about this? Awesome, thank you. Okay, if no other questions about this, then you know what I do is, all right, this is my game plan. This is my understanding. I honestly do not care if the market just completely tanks all this week. doesn't matter to me. It doesn't change my thesis of what I'm feeling. um, but I'll readjust. I'll look at it and I'll see if any data or anything's come out that changes things, right? If there's new data that comes out, then yeah, maybe I'm going to change. But if the market's just whipping you around, going woo, 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 right? I don't care. And so, Nate says he doesn't look at a 1 minute chart because the 1 minute chart, you may see a candle that looks like this, but then you look at the daily chart and it's a candle that does this, and it doesn't mean anything. So when in doubt, zoom out, right? That's all I'm doing here. But within this week, I'm still going to try to make money, and I'm going to wait for setups to happen. Now, it's Monday, and I'm in no rush to get into anything. Let me show you a couple things that happened last week. Well, here, let's start with just the overall indices. We ended off the week pretty strong. Friday, I think it was. Yep, right. So we had, I hate to say pretty strong. We actually had some buying. Well, so we had this huge engulfing candle that was just like after Nvidia's earnings, everybody was just selling off, and all the bears came out and said, "Aha, Nvidia's finally cracking. Everything's going to go to zero." Right? Maybe they're right. And remember, I was pretty positive that we weren't going to break these lows again, and I was like, "Haha, I'm going to laugh at Nate and be like, ha, we didn't break the lows." And then, literally within one day, I'm worried that we're going to break the lows, and I'm like, "Oh, Nate's going to tell me. He's going to be like, told you, right?" And so that's how quickly things can change within this time frame. And so for this week, I've literally got here. Let me. I don't know if you guys can make this out or not, but this is your weekly inside candles right here. And so all of these from FT, NT up to here, these are all candles that are inside their previous week. And so what I've done this morning is I've gone through and I've picked out the charts that I'm willing to play if they break up or down. So the only thing that I'm going to be doing is just watching and waiting. I'm going to take care of my kids this morning right out the gate for school. I'll probably come back about 15, 20 minutes after the market opens. I'll see if any of my buys have triggered and move on from there and try to set up a plan for the upcoming week. Anybody have any questions on this? Good morning from Chicago. Good morning, Nina. So here I'll show you the alerts I've created this morning. You guys want to see them? Let's see, created. So like Netflix, for example. Netflix is an inside day, right? So we had this sell off. We had quote unquote good news followed by bad news, which is just funny to me. They popped it up and then they said they they brought it back down, and it's like, okay, what Nate always says about news, it goes up, then it goes down, and then he kind of figures out where it wants to go. That's where we are. And so Netflix is one that I'm watching on a daily for an inside candle day break. And then V is another one. So this V is in a really nice pattern, TTM squeeze pattern. It looks really, really good. If I created ways to play TTM squeezes, that allowed me to quote unquote chase, as Nate would say, that the reason he doesn't buy it is because it's not below the 80 MA. So for me, I'm willing to buy an ICB daily breakout to try to take this back up to the highs, but my risk is extremely tight. And that's all this is basically on V. CRM is another one, inside daily that I'm watching. We need to get above this 11 to 12ish area to get some room up to 220. I absorbed this CRM into these candles here and into 200. And so, this is my normal scalping. Got a possible inverse head and shoulders that could break up, but they have earnings coming up, and that's going to be probably what decides which way this is going to go. And it's going to be Wednesday. Nike is another one that I have. This is a 2-time inside day, right? Boom, 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 boom. And you got a gap above. The reason Nike gapped down right here is because of Foot Locker's earnings. It had nothing to do with Nike. But, it's Foot Locker sells shoes, right? And that's what Nike is. So that's why it gapped down. But if we break into this gap area over these candles, I think 100 is coming quickly, and then the bottom side of the gap close will fill up. This is a relatively boring stock to play if you're used to playing things like Tesla. Now FTNT is another one that I'm looking at, and FTNT is a 2-time inside candle. Boom, boom, and then boom, boom. Right. Crowd got downgraded today, saying that revenue shrinkage may happen. But if these catch a bid, I'm willing to play this inside candle break up because you've got a lot of room. And then let's see what else we got. So you guys know that I think PayPal is undervalued right now. So you remember when I was telling you, hey, my goal is to find companies that are undervalued, right? I think PayPal is currently undervalued. Now, there's a bunch of different reasons of why that we can go through one day if you guys want to know, but long and short of it is, the price reaction of being down this far versus the return on their cash flow, their revenues, etc. It doesn't equal, it doesn't match up. But for a shorter term play, we have an inside candle on the weekly on PayPal. And so let's see if we can get up in, if we start breaking above that, I think we could start pushing up towards, it's going to be 65 first, and then maybe this creates a W, right? You guys see with a lower right shoulder. That's my favorite kind of W. And maybe we can pop, right? But again, this is something that I'm playing with inside my long term. And then Meta. So you can see Meta's an inside week as well. Honestly, when I'm looking at Meta, just the chart overall looks like it wants to go lower. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. I honestly don't care. I'll play it either way, up or down. It just looks like it wants to go a little bit lower. And then Walmart, same idea, inside week. Okay, so these are the ones that I'm watching. Again, what I'm trying to do is, what'll happen a lot of times is I'll leave for 30 minutes or something like that, and then I'll come back and there'll be about 10 alerts that have gone off. And that'll tell me, hey, if I see all of a sudden, if I see 10 alerts or 5 alerts that say these charts have all broken to the weekly to the downside or daily to the downside, then I know the feel of the market, what was happening when I left and when I'm getting back. Okay. Okay. All right. So I wanted to just roughly go through these this morning. Uh, some of the China stocks are popping up today, like Baba. Um, the reason being is because the government is starting to give us some quote unquote stimulus, right? They're trying to get people to invest. So here, let's just run through some news just real quick. XPeng, U.S. traded shares of Chinese electric vehicle jumped 5% as XPeng announced it would buy Didi's smart electric car. This is one that I really liked as it came into this previous flag area right here, right? Came right into this 15 level. Now we're up to 19. And what you guys got to understand is this move is literally a 30% move. It may not seem like it, but from 15 to where we are now, it's a 30% move. And so for me, it's like, do I want to pay 30% higher now? Well, it depends. Do I think it's going to go up another 13, 14, 15% before a bull, right? Um, and this is why I like buying companies that are not in favor. You know what I mean? Versus I do it. It's just I do it very differently. Versus a company that like Nvidia up in here, buying Nvidia up in here is a lot harder for me than it is to buy PayPal down here. Um, so XP&G, XPEV, there we go. XPEV. Now, so 3M is another company that is really beaten down, but this to me, they're going to pay 5.5 billion, and people are loving it. So, I don't know. Like this one, I'm not as up on. Maybe I should study into 3M, but man, they've been hit. They're gonna pay 5.5 billion. That's a lot. But anyway, people like it. Mr. Car Wash climbed 5.7% in pre-market, following an upgrade from overweight. I think they got hit here recently. Let me check. Mr. Car Wash. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's see. Hmm, that's an interesting one. I'll dig into that later today. CrowdStrike shares of cyber company fell 2.6% pre-market trading after Morgan Stanley downgraded CrowdStrike to equal weight from overweight. The investment firm warned in a note to clients that CrowdStrike's upcoming earnings report could show slowing revenue. Um, Akero Therapeutics biotech company shares added 2.2% after UBS initiated Akero with a buy rating. Implies sharp gains ahead. UBS thinks the company's treatment for non-alcoholic, who could pronounce that word, steatohepatitis, could create an underappreciated market opportunity worth more than 20 billion. Chinese stocks, Alibaba rose, JD, etc., rose because Chinese government said it would reduce the tax on trading, among other measures, to boost the stock market. RBT Realty shares of the real estate investment trust rallied more than 11% on news that they're going to be acquired. Abcam shares, protein consumables supplier Abcam fell more than 3% after Danaher announced it would acquire the company in a deal valued at $5.7 billion. Okay, so that's just the quick news this morning. Now let me catch up on chat. Any any questions on what I've gone over so far? Melinda, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's a scan for that or not. I don't know how TradingView scans, but one of the one of the best things about TC 2000 is their scanning. You can set up any scan for anything. Like it's wonderful. Um, man, are you going to present your trading strategy that does not involve options for small accounts? You mentioned about this last week. I haven't talked to Nate about it, to be honest with you. You know, Nilo, what's going on with me personally right now is my kids have started back school, which is a love hate relationship for me because I want to spend time with them. But you know, which means I'm kind of bored during the middle of the day. Um, what I used to do, Nilo, to take care of that boredom was I'd get in here and I'd scalp. I'd trade 500-600 times a day, literally, and I'd be buying and selling and buying and selling. But that rush is kind of worn off now as I've learned different strategies that I can make more money just by investing. And so now it's like, what do I want to do to fill my days now that the kids are gone? After I do the honeydew list, it's like I'm kind of bored. Um, so I'll talk to Nate about it, and I'll see if that's something that he's good with or doesn't want us to do. I don't know, but I'll figure that out anyway. Um, it's pre-market live only on Monday at 8:30. Trish, yeah, for me, um, Monday I'm up really early just to catch up on all the news, and I need to be done by 8:30. And so on Mondays I'll be here, at 8:30. Um, throughout the week it's for me it's more hit or miss with the kids. So hope that answers your question. All right. One that I'm also looking at playing today is PDD. They have earnings, right? So you can see we've got room if the market catches a bid, if China stocks can catch a bid, right? You've got room here on PDD to run. The problem is you're just kind of in the middle of no man's land. So if you buy right out the gate, you've got a possibility of it pulling back. And if you wait, you've got a possibility of it running all the way up here and missing the move. So, you have to decide what you want to do with that. So AMD, I think, is still in that zone that I told you guys about. For me, it's just kind of a sit and wait moment. Um, right? Like I can't. I'm only selling to open calls on rips within this box. So if we scoot this over, right? Um, you know, I tell you one thing that did happen that's good for AMD is AMD actually cracked 100 last week, which is a stop out level for a lot of people, and it held strongly. I personally am wanting AMD to come into this 95 to 97 range. I don't know if I'm going to get it. If I don't get it, I'm fine. I still have AMD, but I can't buy this until it breaks back above this 110 level or creates enough new VP levels within this box that I can play it. Because when I created this box, the chart looked like this, right? So that's something we can do today, Tommy. We can you want to do that right now? Let's see if we have time. Yeah, I got about 5 more minutes and I got to jump off. So here, let me yeah, actually, so just looking at this lower level, this is a very quick close up view. Let me take off this and look at this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw this out on another board. So this is obviously your main VP, right? That you'd want to stay under, and this is this is what I would call try to manage the trade. If it broke below and I didn't just immediately stop out, I would try to buy around this level and look for it like if it did that, buy and try to manage and stop out of all of it there to minimize the losses. But if it broke through, I'd be out. Um, and then on the top side, you're looking about right here. So what I'll tell you is it does look like it might have some legs to get back up here and test these guys. Does that make sense? If out the gate we come down here and we gap close into this general region, right? Yeah, I could see that as a play to try to take this back and eat into this level. So I think it's going to get back over here? Probably not, right? Um, and I bet Nvidia is going to be the leader, right? Nvidia will probably determine whether or not AMD will do that. Okay. What are the levels here? There you go. You should be able to see them now. Um, okay. Andrea can't hear anything. Refresh. You should be able to hear. Take a look at CCJ for long term. All right. Yeah, I can dig into CCJ. Uh, where's my pen? When you let your kids use your computer on the weekend, all your stuff's moved around. We play Fortnite with the kids. Me and the kids play Fortnite together, and I'm old and I'm horrible. They're better than I am, but it's fun running around with the kids. So I let them jump on my computer, and then I come back and everything's moved around. Okay, CCJ, long term. Yeah, I'll dig into that. Dig into it. Nate, you play Call of Duty, don't you? I think you play Call of Duty. You've lost four PCs, right? Yeah, yeah. Um, but anyway, same problem. Oh, okay. So you don't. Okay. I thought you played some kind of game. Let's see. You have a mute button on the screen that you need to unmute. It's the volume in the lower left hand side. Nate, I love old school Wii. Nate, I don't know if I ever told you the story, but I actually went to the doctor because my elbow was hurting, and it was when the Wii had been out, was relatively new. And he was like, "Do you play tennis?" And I'm like, "No, I don't play tennis." He's like, "It looks like you have tennis elbow." I'm like, "I don't know. I may play tennis like twice a year." And then my wife goes, "He's been playing the Wii tennis," and the doctor was like, "That's it." So I got tennis elbow from playing the Wii tennis game. um, okay. Oh yeah, I gotta jump off now. I'll be back, probably 15, 20 minutes after the market opens. Again, it's Monday. We got all week to trade. What happens a lot of times is Monday comes around and we all want to get those dopamine hits of pressing the button, buy, buy, buy. So like that's where we're in a rush to do that. Part of discipline and part of being a good trader is not doing that. Following whatever edges that you have. And so that's what I'm going to do this morning is just kind of step away and I'll be back later. Nate, are you ready to take the stream? PDD. Okay, I'll jump off. You guys be safe today. What do you want for breakfast, sweetie?
I think I'll just eat a bagel. I don't know if I have enough time. I don't think I'll just eat cereal.
A bagel?